Chihiro Furuya is a nerdy guy who likes to spend his time in his room watching zombie movies. Chihiro lives with his grandpa, dad, and little sister, and his life just had gotten quite stable after the death of his mother, but fate had other plans for little Chihiro. Our guy's cat named Babu dies in a car accident, and Chihiro has to bury him outside the temple of his family due to the prestige of the place. Even though the cat had died, Chihiro's fantasies from his love for zombies kept him thinking about bringing the cat back, and he later found a manuscript for this exact purpose. Chihiro dug Babu out of his grave and took the cat to a ruined structure to try some things out. Chihiro's experiment gets interrupted by a girl who is ranting about her life outside at a well in the rain, diverting Chihiro's attention. The girl is revealed to be Sanka Ria, a student of the Sanka Girls' High, and the memory introduces Chihiro's cousin Ranko, who tends to act quite chummy with him. Back at the experiment, Ria notices Chihiro eavesdropping on her little rant, and she gets quite fascinated after coming to know about Chihiro's experiment to bring the cat back to life. Ria chats with Chihiro for a bit and warms up to him when he remarks that he would care for her if she ever became a zombie. These two certainly look like soulmates to me already. Ria joins Chihiro again for the experiment later and is busy with some zombie movies while Chihiro prepares the formula. She recalls her childhood and how her father, Danichiro, kept her away from everything, including maids and pets, in his obsession with keeping her to himself. Back to the experiment, the duo counts the ingredients required to make the remedy, and Ria leaves to find the plant herself, only for Chihiro to find out that she is about to fall while climbing a cliff nearby. Ria gets the flower and requests Chihiro to bring her back to life after the two get back. Another memory shows how Ria's father made things worse for the family of the only friend Ria had and opened up to, making Ria's friend get angry at her. With the addition of the new plant that is presumably poisonous, the remedy gets completed and the two feed it to Babu, hoping that he would revive. The plan turns out to be a miss, and Chihiro takes Babu back in the icebox home while giving a lift to Ria home since she had hurt her leg. Ria felt like a normal girl for the first time, but the situation got worse for her pretty quick again when her father found out about her spending time with Chihiro, giving her some harsh treatment upon her return. Chihiro is in a little argument with Ranko when he comes to know that the formula was a success and Babu comes back to life, just not as a normal cat this time. Ria reaches her room in a lot of depression and decides to drink the formula from earlier in an attempt to commit suicide. Ria wakes up fine the next day and moves to greet her parents in the dining room after realizing that her suicide attempt was a failure. She is invited by her stepmom Arya's rude behavior towards her, along with her father's message that she won't be going to school anymore. Ria leaves the room and overhears her father's conversation with the butler about planning to emasculate Chihiro. At the Furuya residence, Mero and Ranko can't really get themselves to believe Chihiro's story of Babu's revival, and before they could reason properly, Chihiro stands chasing after Babu alongside Ranko on his tail. Ria, who had overheard the conversation, sneaks out of her place and arrives at Chihiro's school, asking his friends about him. Chihiro ends up in a strange place where he finds Babu eating the same flowers that Ria brought earlier on the experiment night. Ria arrives at the cliff next to Chihiro's location and is walking on the terrain to find Chihiro when her father rolls up, asking her to come back. Ria raises her voice for the first time in front of her father, and just when the father is about to attack Babu for coming near Ria, she protects Babu, ending up falling down right on top of a tree branch, dying from the impact. Chihiro is devastated at this side, and is walking up to Ria's corpse when things take a twist and Ria revises as a zombie from the formula she drank earlier. Danichiro dreams about the recent incident involving Ria and watches her get far away from him, remarking that she is no longer her daughter before he wakes up at his place. Arya overhears the maids talking about Ria being missing and confronts the sad Danichiro, who wonders where his daughter is. The butler reveals that she must be with Furuya, and Danichiro makes it his life's purpose to solve this situation. Chihiro had taken Ria to his place and the two are having a little warm conversation when Ranko arrives at the place, yelling at Chihiro angrily. Ranko takes Chihiro outside near the riverbank and gives him a little rough treatment for causing trouble for her. Chihiro's friends arrive at the river, revealing how Ria was looking for Chihiro, making Ranko jealous. Reveals that he has a thing for a zombie girlfriend, and realizes back at his place that Ria's body will catch rigor mortis if he won't preserve it. Chihiro leaves Ria's body in his bed and leaves to sleep at the temple while thinking about a way to preserve Ria's body. The next day arrives and he asks Mero for books about preserving bodies, and in order to not make his family suspicious, leaves after hiding Ria's body in a closet while realizing that even in this form with rigor mortis, Ria is still feeling some sort of hunger. Ranko is visited by a friend of Ria's who asks her about Ria and wonders what has been going on with her beautiful idol recently. Chihiro has a usual lunch at his unusual place and proceeds to clean the temple where his grandfather reveals that he was the one who originally made the resurrection pill, the same formula Chihiro used to revive Babu. Before Chihiro could get any further info about the matter, he gets interfered by his father first, and later by Ranko, who came to the temple to help out, as usual, getting rather flustered when Chihiro's father brought up the matter of Chihiro having Ranko as his wife. A commotion is caused in Chihiro's room, and while Ranko gets angry at Chihiro, demanding an explanation from him, Ria follows Babu outside the place and reaches some hydrangea flower leaves nearby alongside Babu. She eats the leaves just like Babu to finally gain her consciousness back and cure her rigor mortis. Ria gives an obvious reaction to Chihiro finding her outside, and Chihiro's grandfather reveals that Ria must eat these leaves to keep functioning properly, and since the revival pill was still incomplete, this fix is just temporary. The old man gets shut down by Mero, and Chihiro requests his father to let Ria stay at their place since she had nowhere to go. The priest accepts, and Chihiro starts observing Ria and writing down her characteristics of the zombie state, just like having her mental and strength limiter off. Chihiro starts recording Ria's actions for better observation and leaves outside with her for a walk. The two are having a nice time when Ria ends up hurting Chihiro while saving him from a car accident, following up with weirdly licking his wound, making him believe that Ria's mental limiter might really not be working. Ranko leaves Chihiro's place and walks back home when a memory of her childhood strikes her before we are introduced to Ranko's family restaurant business the next day. Chihiro is helping out in the restaurant on the weekend, and as he is having his usual conversation with Ranko, Ranko's mom teases the two by offering Chihiro to marry Ranko. Ranko gets even more flustered when Chihiro saves her from falling in the kitchen, and later remembers how back in the day Chihiro met her, helping her out when she was crying in a graveyard. Ranko started playing with Chihiro at the temple afterwards, but her interest in Chihiro dropped back in the day when she found out about his interest in zombie movies and how he was a weak and emotional kid outside his little safe space. Back to the present, Ranko continues to use Chihiro's help to deliver restaurant orders around the area and is encouraged by Chihiro's father to continue doing so since she takes care of Chihiro a lot. The pair proceed with the errand, and while talking about Ria's situation, they come across Chihiro's friends who tease the two about dating. Ranko remembers further how she met Chihiro again 2 years after their initial meeting, and how she was unable to understand why Chihiro was more interested in horror movies than anime at that age. Little Ranko got angry and was running back to change the DVD with an anime one when a dog stopped her way, and Chihiro, despite being scared of the dog himself, saved her by scaring the dog away. Back in the park, Chihiro's friends left after bothering the two, and Ranko demands Chihiro to hold her hand like they used to. Chihiro's remarks make Ranko embarrassed, and later after the final delivery of the day concludes, she heads back with the determination of not losing to Ria. A little time passes, and Ria starts to eat with Chihiro's family, referring to herself as a vegetarian, while Chihiro continues recording her for more observations. Chihiro finds out small things about the behavior of zombies, like not needing to sleep at all and not being able to sweat even in hot weather. From all the observations Chihiro is doing, Ria gets a little embarrassed when the two are in Chihiro's room and demands him to take her to the mall for shopping in return. Chihiro agrees, and the two arrive at the mall so Ria can look for some clothes, revealing Ria to be quite the indecisive individual. Chihiro waits outside while Ria decides on her clothes and is happy to finally enjoy normal things since that was something that she couldn't do in the past. The trip proceeds, and Danichiro is revealed to be on the move, keeping henchmen around the pair to keep track of them and possibly retrieve Ria. Our zombie-loving otaku turns out to be not the bravest guy in real life when he gets seriously scared on a visit to the haunted house. Ria finds this contradiction funny while the two are at lunch, and just when Chihiro leaves to get his food, the henchmen who are approaching Ria get interfered by Chihiro's friend, who tries quite hard to get Ria's attention with at least what he assumes to be moves. I'm not so sure about that. Moving on, the henchmen decide to drop the sneaky act and attempt to kidnap Ria for real, ending up getting dominated by the zombie super strength. Chihiro arrives at the scene outside, and just when Ria is crying to him, the henchmen have a change of plan to decide to kidnap Chihiro instead, taking him to awaiting Danichiro. The story takes a little spin-off from Chihiro's daily life, and we get to know more about Mero, Chihiro's little sister, who is responsible for housework at the Furia residence. The priest remarks that Chihiro has been more reliable recently after he met Ria, and Mero also notices some changes in her brother's behavior. At her school, Mero is in a little detective conversation with her friends, Shinoda and Yasaka, and the three remark about being suspicious of their teacher Mizuki for not being a human. Their suspicion is led by Mizuki eating raw meat and being seen carrying something living in her bag before school. The three of them start spying on the teacher, trying to find her real identity, but are dumbfounded in the end when Mizuki reveals her pet crocodile to them. A little disappointing for our aspiring detectives. The girls continue with their funny little zombie stories afterwards, and Mero adds that she is practically living with the zombie before they head back home. On her way back home, Mero remembers her mother's smile and her cold hands, and after reaching home, Mero decides to pay her mother's grave a visit in the evening, and is welcomed home by Ria, who offers to help her out with the housework from now on, making Mero see her mother and Ria. Mero ends up calling Ria Mama by accident, and later, Ria helps her out with the dinner after patching her knee up. Coming back to the main storyline of our otaku, Chihiro, who was kidnapped by the henchmen, is brought to a room where he is tied up, waiting for a meeting with Danichiro. A maid serves him some juice, and as she leaves, Arya comes into the room after hearing Chihiro rant about getting kidnapped. She explains that she is Danichiro's second wife, and reveals the story of a while back when Danichiro was younger, and since he was the head of Sanka family, every maid was trying to get married to him, but he showed no interest. Arya tried to marry Danichiro herself, but Danichiro showed no real romantic development, and after a while came across a 15-year-old sick girl in a wheelchair, who he fell for. Danichiro proposed to the girl despite the backlash from his family, even willing to leave his position as the head of the family for her. Danichiro did marry her, but the inevitable happened, and the girl died after giving birth to Ria. Danichiro married Arya after she helped him through a phase where he got extremely malnourished and depressed from mental stress. Arya remarks that Danichiro doesn't love her, but just married her, acquiring a mother for Ria. She also revealed that Danichiro's obsession with Ria is for her resemblance to her mother, and before she could say any more, a maid takes Chihiro to a room full of Ria's portraits, where Danichiro is waiting for our otaku with no intention of forgiving him. Danichiro leads Chihiro through a hallway, making him believe that he will be tortured. Chihiro thinks of situations like being thrown off cliffs, but it turns out that Danichiro was taking him to a dojo to have a little duel with him, testing his skills. Ria arrives at the Sanka mansion, and she gets restrained by the maids there, who punish Ria a little by making her wear a maid outfit as well. The same energy resonates through the whole house, it seems. Ria uses her zombie strength to finally break out of the restraints, and looks for Chihiro in the house. Back at the dojo, the two are preparing for a sword duel where Chihiro has to only land a single hit to win and prove his skill. Chihiro goes a different route and starts making fun of Danichiro for being a terrible father, humiliating him for taking nude pictures of his daughter. Danichiro initially stays calm from Chihiro's mocking, but ends up stabbing Chihiro as Ria enters the dojo. Despite being stabbed, Chihiro still manages to headbutt Danichiro and remarks that he must be a half-zombie now due to being affected by Ria's poison when she licked his wound. The argument between the two continued, and Chihiro explained that Danichiro's ideology of treating Ria as a special existence was the wrong move in the first place, as Ria only wanted to live life as a normal girl without being controlled. Chihiro's words strike Danichiro's heart, and he decides to leave Ria and Chihiro while leaving for a foreign country to look for a cure for his daughter. Chihiro finally passes out due to excessive blood loss and wakes up at his place to Ria in a nurse outfit. Ranko also arrives to see Chihiro and remarks herself to be Chihiro's fiancée, making Ria realize that Ranko loves our otaku. Quite popular for an otaku, huh? Chihiro acknowledges the responsibility Danichiro left him with, and after Ria has dinner with the Furuya family, Chihiro takes her outside for a walk. He remarks that this is all he can do for her, but Ria appreciates his efforts, remarking that she was not even able to do this much previously. On their way back, Ria notices a firework festival that is set to happen tomorrow and requests Chihiro to take her there. Chihiro agrees, but the rain ruins their plan, making Ria a bit sad. The next day at school, Ranko grabs Chihiro as usual, making his friends jealous of the two, and later Chihiro explains the fireworks situation to Ranko, to which she recommends holding a little firework event of their own at the temple. Mero remarks that Chihiro should let Ria attend school as well, but Chihiro wonders if he can keep her identity as a zombie hidden like that or not. The firework time arrives, and Ranko is with Ria in Chihiro's room when she confesses her feelings for Chihiro to Ria officially, asking her to be her rival for Chihiro. Ria happily enjoys the firework and later gets her stuff for school from her home, where Arya's treatment gets better for her. Chihiro's life continues as he lives his fantasy of having a zombie girl alongside him while trying his best to look for a cure to preserve Ria's body.